Hello everybody and welcome back to Full House Sports here, myself Charlie. A reminder before the video starts to please like, comment and subscribe. Anything you guys do is greatly appreciated as I try and become a one-man sports news bandwagon. Now, this weekend's Premier League action was pretty much a summary, I think, of most of what has gone on this season. Something I wanted to talk about on a video today, and that is the theme of consistently inconsistent. I heard Alan Shearer on his podcast with Gary Lineker, and Micah Richards talked about this with Newcastle, saying the only consistent thing with Newcastle is that they're inconsistent. But I think it's fair to say that that applies to the whole of the league, pretty much, bar potentially Wolves, who I think we can say are completely off the grid, and Burnley as well. Even Arsenal, although they did grind out a win, are starting to stutter perhaps. And I do think that they are by far the best team in the Premier League at the moment. Or not by far, sorry, but I do think they are the best team in the Premier League at the moment. But as well, alongside many of the other teams, probably the other 18, do have huge question marks against them. I looked at the Nottingham Forest fan yesterday and realised that even though we sit 16th, we're 10 points off of 4th place. Now, I'm not saying Forest are going to get Champions League football, but what I'm saying is that it's quite crazy how the gap between 16th and 4th is so small. And, you know, we've always talked about the Championship and how competitive that is as a league, and how, you know, you put a good run of fixtures together and all of a sudden you find yourself in the playoff spots. Well, I think at the minute in the Premier League, you put a good run of fixtures together and a good run of results, and you find yourselves in the top 4 or the top 5. It's something that I think has caught a lot of people's eyes. I think the argument that's been levelled is, oh, well, it's because the league is of a poor quality. I wouldn't necessarily agree with that. I think that that's quite harsh, and I don't necessarily think that that's true. I think a lot of things are happening. I think, one, a lot of teams are in a project phase. We've seen it with Newcastle. We've seen it with Chelsea. You know, just to name two off the top of my head, Tottenham as well are another one that comes to mind. A lot of teams are in what they're calling a project phase, where they're signing players and they're saying, oh, well, it will come good eventually, but we accept the results may not be as consistent as we'd like. Man United are a prime example of that as well, with Ruben Amorim. I think the problem is with that is, how long do you let a project go on for before you cull it, and do you go for that instant success? We've seen, I think, a real change in trajectory with transfers in terms of teams looking at that next star. When you start signing younger players, unfortunately, I think, bar the top players, you are going to get more inconsistent performances. And I think the Premier League is real evidence of that, of how that sort of change has happened in terms of, let's look for the next star, and maybe that doesn't necessarily work. I mean, only a few weeks ago, Bournemouth were being talked about as Champions League contenders. They now find themselves in 15th ahead of tonight's fixture against Man United. It's something that I think is really interesting. It's good for the league. I'm not complaining. Listen, as a non-top 6 fan, I do quite enjoy the other non-top 6 sides getting a chance at things. And also I quite enjoy those top 6 clubs faltering a little bit. I think, for example, Sunderland have been a real surprise package this year. It's been absolutely fantastic to see them. You know, Villa started the season horrendously and then all of a sudden find themselves in the title race. I think if you deny that, you'd be foolish. They're up there, so you'd have to argue they are. I think it's something that's going to potentially maybe just be for this season. Then maybe we may see again those top sides establish themselves. But even the lots of Man City have definitely got those defensive frailties and perhaps inconsistencies that we've not seen from them in the past. It's definitely worth keeping an eye on, because we could end up having some thrilling end of season battles for the top 4, for the title and for the relegation battle. I think the last few seasons we've seen the title wrapped up and we've seen really the big one be for the top 4, but I think there'll be plenty of moves and shakers in all of those different aspects, which is only good for the league and watchability. The only bad thing is you just don't know who's going to win week in, week out, but I suppose as a neutral, that's not a bad thing. As always, guys, let us know what you guys think. Why is this in the Premier League? What is happening? What's going on? Is the quality going down? Is the quality going up? Who knows? I think Sunderland would be a reflection of maybe the quality going up or down. There's an argument to be made for both. But let us know what you guys think. And as always, guys, please like, comment and subscribe. Anything you guys do is greatly appreciated as I try and become a one-man sports news bandwagon. Have a great day.